2 years now since I've started traveling the world. I'm going to Dubai next week, working on all kinds of side hustles. So I mentioned crypto trading. Yeah, YouTube is now my full-time job, income. I would
Amazing.
probably never had that just working my office job. In fact, I always had the feeling like I do not relate to 90% of the people at my job.
Hey guys, so in just a second, I have a really exciting video to share with you. I recently had the chance to talk with a pretty large YouTuber. His name is Stefan. He's got over 240,000 subscribers, and he has done what I think a lot of us have been trying to do in our lives. He went from working a corporate job that he hated to freelancing to traveling the world to becoming a full-time YouTuber. I really hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you have any questions for me or Stefan, put them in the comments.
All right, guys. So today we have a pretty special guest we're going to be chatting with today. We have Stefan. You've probably seen his face around YouTube. He's someone I've been watching for years. So he was actually a huge inspiration in me eventually starting, side hustles, freelancing, YouTube, and eventually quitting my job. He makes amazing content. I love watching his stuff. And we're going to have a pretty cool conversation about his journey, where he's been able to travel to, the things he's been doing, how he quit his job, what he's been working on, and all that stuff. So, Stefan, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I know you're super busy. But if you want to
Thanks for
kind of
having
kick
me on,
things
man.
off, why don't you introduce yourself?
I think, yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me on, man. I always love talking to interesting people. Yeah, and it's always cool to share my story. Um, so the shortest intro I can give would probably be: I used to be a data analyst for about 6, 7 years. Just worked in a normal office job, but always knew in those 6, 7 years, like this is definitely not something I want to do for the rest of my life. But I always struggled with, okay, but what's the alternative? What do I
Mm,
want to do? And then eventually I became a freelance data analyst, which gave me a little bit more income, which gave me a little bit more control over my time, more flexibility. And that kind of led into me actually rediscovering my passion for filmmaking, because I used to do it as a kid, like when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, messing around, like the jackass times. I would re-record pranks and jackass stunts and whatever. That's where it kind of started. So I rediscovered it and thought, you know what? I've been dabbling around with all these side hustles, tried everything from crypto trading to whatever. And then I decided to buy a cheap camera, start a YouTube channel just for the fun of it. And who knows? And it kind of grew out to become a pretty solid channel. And then I use, on the one side, my freelancing to build up enough capital to invest in myself, to invest in filmmaking, better gear, to become more knowledgeable in like the whole filmmaking, storytelling, and parallel to that, to take a sabbatical, so to travel the world with my girlfriend before we kind of settle down, start a family. So it's kind of, and I'm going all in on YouTube while traveling the world, and it's also just 1 year for my girlfriend and me, and let's see how far I can take it with YouTube. And flash forward, what is it, 2 years now since I've started traveling the world. uh, yeah, YouTube is now my full-time job, income, and I plan on never going back to data analysis, and just yeah,
amazing.
keep on doing this and see where the journey will take me.
Ride the wave for as long as you can. I'm in the same boat, man. That is amazing. Um, so, Stefan, one thing I'd love to hear more about is you're a data analyst. Great
Yeah.
job. Probably worked for some big companies. Probably a situation a lot of people who watch this channel are in. Have a job, unfulfilled with their job. What was the spark, and like how long did it take from when you got that spark to actually commit to doing what you're now doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first, I want to take it a step back. When just started my career, there was like a period where I thought, like, okay, this is definitely not something I want to do for the rest of my life.
Mm,
uh, Especially because of the contrast. Like I graduated and then went backpacking for 3 months, and then I started my career, and it's like, oh,
mm.
freedom and backpacking and hostels all over the world and fun and adventure, and then poof, career, boring job. I had no idea what to do. Like, what the fuck? What kind of value are you going to add to a company? So those first, I would say, 2 years, I was really thinking of just making job switches. Like I even contemplated going into the army because that sounded
Mhm.
cool. Like become some
Mix it
kind
up a
of
little bit.
special forces. Yeah, I don't know. just I was, yeah, you could say I was desperate. Like, this is not something I want to do, but I have no idea what to do.
Sure.
Then the corporate office job started getting more, yeah, interesting. Like, I started to grow in my data analysis role. I thought, hey, I'm working on pretty cool projects. The pay is decent. Kind of get to put my creativity to use by building all these reports and dashboards. It's not that bad. And at that period, I started playing with the idea of, okay, if I can manage to do this for like the next 20 years and invest my money really wisely, invest in real estate, maybe I can retire a bit earlier, like when I'm 50 instead of 65 or 70. And that was like the game plan for 2-3 years into my career.
Mm.
But then I
It's
kind
kind of
of,
like the safe game plan, like everyone's game plan, really, like the ideal parent's vision of what their kids are doing type thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
I kind of started accepting that. But it
yeah,
also, deep down, it did feel like I was kind of betraying myself. I knew, like, this is not the thing. I'm kind of making a compromise with myself. I'm kind of sacrificing the next 20 years to do something I'd rather not want to do, so that eventually I could do something I would want to do.
be happy before you die for the last 20 years
Yeah,
type thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, long story short, it just ate me from the inside. So just started working on all kinds of side hustles. So I mentioned crypto trading. I mentioned I started a virtual reality blog. Or I started wanted to make something about that. Yeah, so I guess I could summarize it as I just tried stuff. I tried a lot of
yeah,
stuff, um, and that would also be like one of the messages I want to convey is people that are stuck in a job they don't like. Cool, then go try other stuff next to your job. There's so many things you could do, from copywriting to graphic design to fucking marketing to data analysis. Could be a next career, anything, but at least try, dabble
yep.
around. You will fail. The first thing you try will probably not be the thing you're going to double down on, but at least try. So it
Hmm.
took me a couple of those side hustles before I stumbled upon YouTube video making. And yeah, like, if you do it for a while, so also a good thing to note, give it some time. So don't just try something for 2 weeks and then give up if you don't see results immediately. Everything you try it at least for, I'd say, 3 to 6 months. And if you don't see any progress, if you don't see, like, okay, this is something I could do for the rest of my life, then maybe consider quitting and going to the next thing. But if after 6 months you think like, wow, this is actually giving me energy, I could see myself building an income out of that, then double down and don't try any other side hustles and double down on that for a while. That's what I did with YouTube. Turned out okay.
I love that. You mentioned one thing that I think is so important, and a lot of the people who I see commenting on my videos or just on YouTube in general are afraid of doing is failing, right? Like you mentioned, you tried crypto trading, you tried this virtual reality blog. You know, I'm guessing that you're not doing those things anymore, but you had to
Yeah.
kind of go through the paces of trying those out before you knew whether they were, who knows, maybe you became $1 million crypto trader, right? Who knows,
Yeah.
maybe crypto just kept going up and up and up and never stopped and never had crashes and you were a billionaire.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know if you didn't try. So guys, like, Stefan is such a good example of this because, you know how do I put this, like, we've just started speaking for like the last 10 minutes, but this is a man where if you watch his videos, like, unless you're the best liar in the world, like, you have me fooled that you're finally finding fulfillment in life and truly enjoying what you're doing. Like, your videos tell a story of your life and how you're going through your life, to the point where I actually feel like I knew you before I met you, because you're doing something genuine. And the only way that people can get to that point is by trying stuff. So I think that's really cool that you kind of gave us that background. And one thing I also want to ask is, to keep things a little bit real, is you have like, what, 250,000 subscribers on YouTube now? Like, that's a pretty big channel. Um, was it difficult getting to that point, or is it kind of linear? Like, were you just getting into the habit of learning videos, recording videos, editing videos, or has there been like a up and down, like changing your video style, finding new topics? Like, how have you found the journey?
Yeah. I mean, so YouTube is definitely not linear. It's, you make 10 videos and you get nothing, and then one video just blows up, and that's like 90% of your growth. You probably know what I'm talking about. So it's definitely not linear. And yeah, there is. I think if you're a good YouTuber, there should be change and an evolution in the kind of videos you're making. Like, of course, if you like hit a trend and a format that people like and it's booming right now, you can maybe milk that out for a year or two. But eventually, people get tired of your content. You can only repeat the same thing so much. You kind of have to evolve into the next thing. So I'd say like the first maybe 20 videos of mine, honestly, I don't know what they were about. It was a mix of data analysis, of travel, of escaping the 9 to 5, of me talking about technology. Yeah, and then I just kind of like probably a year or two in, I discovered like, hey, this data analysis topic seems to do pretty well. So I kind of went more into that side, into data analysis, and really leveraged that to grow my YouTube channel. In the beginning, I'd say.
I think you
Um,
made a bunch of the like, oh, I quit my $170,000 job, or like day
yeah,
in the life of a data analysis type videos. I loved those. Those were really well done.
yeah. Before I start ranting without a purpose, what was the question again?
Um, what was growing to where you are now, right? So you talked about kind
Oh,
of
yeah,
trying a bunch of side hustles, finally finding YouTube, and now you're at about 250,000 subs. It's your full-time
yeah,
income. What I want to hear from you to share with everyone who might be considering YouTube is, was that like a linear thing? Because a lot of
yeah.
people, including myself in the past, used to think that YouTube was just a wash, rinse, and repeat thing. Make videos, edit videos, publish videos, keyword research, and you just keep doing that for years, and eventually you'll click. Did you find it was like that, or was it like a volatile process?
So the YouTube world in general also has changed, like the algorithm. Maybe the thing you just mentioned, like just make enough videos and eventually you'll pick up momentum, like the Casey Neistat era, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Yeah, if you had an interesting story to tell and if you just kept uploading, you would be pretty sure that the algorithm would pick up your videos. Now, there's a lot of competition. A lot of YouTubers are making awesome videos. So that doesn't mean it's more difficult, but it just means it values quality over quantity. So
Hmm.
focus on making like high quality videos instead of pumping out 10 videos a month. Focus on pumping out 3 videos a month.
Yeah.
But on the contrary, if you're just starting out with YouTube, that initial period of, I'd say, until you reach about maybe 10,000 subscribers or whatever, do focus on quality because, on quantity,
Quantity.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Pump out as much videos as you can because that will give you the steepest learning curve. You'll learn the most about filmmaking, editing, sound design, everything that comes with creating videos. You'll learn about the YouTube game, thumbnails, everything that has to do with just being a creator.
Hmm.
And you'll also learn about what works on YouTube and what doesn't work, like what the algorithm favors, what it doesn't like. It's still kind of a black box for me, even after a couple of years, but at least you'll get a bit of a sense like, okay, this worked, this doesn't work. And after those 10K subs, just an arbitrary number, but around about 10K subs, you could start thinking, okay, now I'm going to double down more on the stuff that I think works and like really optimize for, well, the algorithm, or at least what you think works. So
Yeah.
quantity first, and then you switch to quality.
Yeah. I think that's a good point. And like, to Stefan's point, those first bunch of videos could be until you get 10,000 subs, could be until you get 100 videos out there. They're probably going to suck. Like,
Yeah.
I don't delete videos on my channel, but if you go to my first video, it was pretty ghetto. Like, I had a $12 Amazon shotgun mic that I didn't know you were supposed to mount to the camera, taped to my desk, facing me. I didn't know how to edit. I was just trying to memorize the whole script. I was sweating through like 5 shirts. It was terrible. But you have to go through that terrible phase before you actually find your stride. And the only way to do that, like Stefan said, is you got to make a lot of videos. You're going to suck. And you can't just focus on making the best possible video every time in those early days because you really don't know how. So yeah, I think that's awesome feedback, dude.
Yeah.
Kind
And
of.
it
Sorry, go
just
ahead.
wanted to emphasize that the thing you just mentioned played a really big part in me eventually deciding to do YouTube, because I was playing with the idea, but just I was waiting for the perfect moment until I have everything, all the gear and all the lightning, and I know everything about YouTube, and then I'm gonna pump out my first video. But the YouTubers I was watching at that time, the Peter McKinnons, and I don't know, I can't remember all the YouTubers, they
Love
all
those
said
guys.
exactly the same thing as you just said. Like, don't do that. Just accept the fact that your first 10 to 50 videos probably are gonna suck ass. Just
Mm.
create them. And that's where, like, okay, if everybody is saying this, then it must be true. So let's just start.
It's so true. Like I something not many people know about me. I have a second channel where I talk about growing on YouTube, and that kind of sprung out of me kind of becoming so passionate and obsessed over YouTube myself that I started like really pushing it on my friends, like, oh, you should try making a YouTube channel, or you should try doing this, or you know, if they tell me their job sucks, I try to like push them down the creative path. And one thing I'm learning as I'm giving people advice and making videos is, to Stefan's point about gear. Like, everyone has it in their head that they need to buy all this gear. They need a green screen. They need all these studio lights. You know, they need like a studio. I now have a lot of that gear, and some of the best videos I've made were recorded on my iPhone and were just me clicking through a basic Google Sheets presentation, but the topic was a topic people wanted to watch. I've spent 30 hours editing some videos that never passed 1,000 views that I use my $5,000 camera on. You know, I'm using effects in DaVinci and all this stuff. It's not really about that at the beginning, guys. And yeah, I just, hearing it from a guy like you, who your videos are so well made, it might seem like it's always been like that. Because, dude, I
No.
have to say, even your early videos, the storytelling, the how you filmed them, how you edited them, they were so engaging. But it's not always going to be like that, people. So that's great insight, man. Kind of, I just wanted to pivot a little bit. So moving away from like the how to do YouTube thing, what's been the most amazing thing that's happened to you since starting to record videos and since starting to do YouTube?
Wow.
There's
Yeah.
too many.
It is. There's not like one big thing, but just a lot of great things. Just being able to fucking travel the world and then come back. That was probably the strangest thing. When I came back from traveling, that year kind of felt like a sabbatical. And then once it's over, I'm going back to my regular life. Like, even though I knew YouTube was going well and I knew like I could sustain myself, but I just came back here at home and I literally had the feeling, oh, tomorrow I have to go to work and my manager is going to call me anytime now
Wait,
to attend the meeting.
were you working at that time? Like, you came back
No, no,
to
no.
work?
I quit before I started traveling, and so
Oh,
once I
but you
came
still had
back,
the
I
feeling.
still it was so in my system. And then, like, when I really thought about it and really realized what I've created for myself, which is basically just yeah, a creator, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it. As in, if I want to work today, I can work today. If I don't want to work tomorrow, I don't work tomorrow. Just the freedom. It Yeah, it was such a strange feeling in the beginning. Like, yeah, kind of imposter syndrome to yourself. Like, something's not right. So that was like a big, strange feeling, but really awesome once you realize and once you accept the freedom thing.
It's
And
cool.
not, oh, sorry.
No, I'm just saying it's cool. Like, it's like, you've been doing it longer than me, but I still have days where I wake up and I'm like eating cereal or like researching something on the couch at like 11 in the morning, and you could go to the gym. You're like, wow, this feels like almost like I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
just it's a cool feeling because you create all this stuff over years and years and years, and it gets you to the point where you have this flexibility, which seems like you could just be doing nothing, but that's kind of part of the creative process. I find, like, having that flexibility to like go to a coffee shop, go to the gym, go
yeah,
running, go visit a friend. I get a lot of my video ideas doing random stuff. Like, I'll be
yeah,
cleaning my house at like 2 in the afternoon or going for a run, and then I like have to get my phone and run back to write it down. Yeah. But yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome, man. Yeah, I agree. That's I haven't gone on a sabbatical. I've just been full-time creator since this past January. But it's awesome. Like, I have the same feeling. Like, I feel like it's one of the things that if you put in the work to create, even if it's not YouTube, if it's a side hustle, whatever it is, if you're
yeah,
your own creative entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it, by getting to that point, it gives you the flexibility to do things that are actually important to you, like that feed your soul, like relationships, friends. Like, I golfed a lot this year. I love doing that. It's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
And I think another thing would be just the meeting other people, kind of like-minded people. Could be creators. A lot of creators I've met since I'm a creator myself, if I'm allowed to call myself that. But creators and just opportunities. I'll give you an example. I'm going to Dubai next week to meet with like 4 creators. One is a YouTuber slash affiliate marketer. 2 of them are YouTubers. One of them is a startup founder, and it's all because of
Amazing.
YouTube. It's all, and I'm
How did
talking
you
here with
find each
you.
other?
YouTube, just
Wow.
following each other, commenting, hitting each other's DMs, just connecting, vibing, and like the same thing I'm doing with you right now. I met this guy called Nelly. He asked me last year at the start of my travel trip if I wanted to join his podcast. Yeah, let's do it. Been in touch ever since. I speak to him almost daily. I've been visited him in Spain. He's visited me here in Amsterdam. I
Amazing.
can honestly call him like a new best friend, and yeah, all because of YouTube. And I would
Amazing.
probably never had that just working my office job. In fact, I always had the feeling like I do not relate to 90% of the people at my job,
You're just
and I
forced to
really
be
miss that.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, I always
Yeah.
had the feeling like everybody at the office job, especially when I started like growing that corporate ladder, when everybody became more senior, everything was politically correct. Everyone watched what they said to who they said, and it always felt like everybody had a mask on, and which I fucking despise. I love being authentic. I love connecting with authentic people. So completely opposite worlds. Creators are all open and everybody's chill with each other, and that's another amazing thing that the whole creator business has brought.
Dude, it's so sick. You're going to Dubai, and one thing I want to make sure we talk about is I saw you tweet about something a couple days ago that you're going to like isolate yourself in a cabin for like a
Yeah,
week. Like what is
yeah.
that about?
I actually already did it. I came back yesterday.
Oh, that's why you're so zen? You're
Maybe, yeah, probably. It does feel like that. No, so it started with if maybe you've watched the Bill Gates documentary on Netflix a couple of years ago. Basically, he mentioned that
maybe.
he does this think week every once in a while. I think once a year. Basically, he locks himself up in a big ass cabin. He probably affords a big ass cabin with a couple of books, notebooks, just brainstorms, put out his thoughts on paper. And I thought, like, yeah, I kind of like that idea. Just every once in a while, especially as a creator, to just put some things on paper. Then I kind of want to up that by like, why not make it a fast? So don't eat any food. Like, be really sharp. I've done those before, and I
How long was
plan on.
it?
So the food fast was 60 hours, about 60 hours.
Oh,
But like the locking up in a cabin, not doing anything was 50 hours. Yeah, basically, long story short, I just kept making it more and more extreme. Then I said, like, okay, fuck it, no books. I'm not going to bring any books, no music, no nothing, no phone, no connection, just me, water, a pen and paper, and that's it for 2.5 days. Lock myself up in a cabin, and then I took it to another extreme. That's what I came up with like 1 week before the trip, before I booked the cabin, before I went to the cabin. I took magic mushrooms with me, which with the optionality of at the end of the trip, if I feel good, if I think like this might add something to this whole experience, then I'm going to take them. If I feel bad or maybe the fasting got to me, I'm just going to throw them in the trash can. Eventually it did, and that turned out to be like that made the whole trip even 100 times better.
so you did mushrooms at the end of the trip after
Yeah.
you've been starving for 2.5 days.
Yeah. But I
Oh
did
my
break my
God.
fast. So I first broke my fast because I was really low in energy. I couldn't do anything. Like at the last day, I would just literally sit in a chair out on the porch of the cabin. I would just stare for 30 minutes. Just stare. That was the only thing I could do. And then I thought, okay, this is boring. Let's go inside. And then I would sit inside and stare for 30 minutes and then just switch around. But then I
Did you
broke the
did you
fast.
tell your girlfriend where you were going to be just in case you went crazy and you were on the news and she could
Yeah,
find you?
I
Yeah.
did. I bought I can show you actually. But I wanted to leave my smartphone in the car, so there was no temptation or whatever. So I bought an old Nokia phone, like $10, with a separate number. With so that was like the emergency phone if something happened, and also if something happens with my girlfriend, that she can always call me just to have that.
Dude. So were you allowed to leave and like go for walks and stuff?
Yeah, around the cabin. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it was in the middle of the woods. It's fall here in the Netherlands. It's such a
Okay.
beautiful environment, and that
Yeah.
was the highlight of my day. Just going on a morning walk for an hour or two.
So wake up, morning walk, stare at the wall inside, stare outside.
Yeah.
What did you do to keep busy? Like, were you writing like 12 hours a day? Were you working out? Like, what was where did your mind go?
The writing really, I yeah, it was. I didn't write that much at all. Like
Really?
I thought because that was the only thing I am allowed to do, that would be like my outlet. But it was the energy. I was just so low in energy. My brain also just didn't work. There was nothing. I did force myself a couple of times to just sit behind a notebook, but nothing would come out. I did eventually write some stuff, obviously, but like maybe 10% of what I was planning on doing. But funny
Really?
enough, once I broke the fast, once I took the mushrooms, there was like the first hour was an hour of really intense, like, whoa, what the fuck, I'm tripping balls. But then it kind of turned into a more really chill trip where everything that was cropped up in those past 2 days, everything that was like I was like in a very small shell of mine, then poof, everything came out. And instead of like writing being the outlet for me, I just grabbed the mic, and I think I wasn't even planning on recording the mushroom trip per se because that was an optional thing anyway. And I thought maybe I won't feel like recording myself while tripping balls. But eventually, that was the fucking most beautiful thing. Everything my mind came up with, I just talked to the camera,
So
and
you had a camera with you too, camera and
yeah,
voice
yeah,
recorder. Okay.
it's gonna
Okay.
be a YouTube video. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
one I'm gonna love to watch. That's
It's
awesome,
yeah,
man.
it should be a good one.
So you don't
So
have
yeah,
to give away
that
what
was the
you
whole
learned,
thing.
but like, what did you take away from that? Like, what would you do it again?
Maybe not so extreme, but like the original thing, like the Bill Gates Think Week, just take a couple of days for yourself in a nice cabin with a couple of books, but then take a glass of wine and some nice food and some nice music in the background. Yeah, why not? Definitely.
Yeah.
But like this extreme, I don't know. Maybe I don't
So
know.
as you're talking through this, I'm thinking to myself, my a good friend of mine just bought a tiny little cabin in the woods. I'm like, oh, I should do that. Then I'm like, I probably wouldn't do shrooms because I probably would go crazy and cause havoc all around the little town I'm in. But it seems like such a cool idea, and it's so funny that you say you didn't write stuff because I have had it in my head. Like I do copywriting a lot, right? But my real passion is I just love writing stories.
Hmm.
And I have all these crazy like dystopian post-apocalyptic ideas for great books I'd like to write. And I've always said, you know what, it would be great to just isolate yourself somewhere with like a typewriter or like a computer with no internet and just write for like 3 days. So it's funny that you say that when that's the one thing, the one outlet you had, you weren't drawn to do it. I find that so interesting because it's like
Yeah,
you said you were just like melancholy, just sitting there, staring around, no energy. I find that very interesting.
but that's probably me because I'm just not good at writing per se. Like,
Mm,
I think I'm okay with words in general, but just not in written form. So if you're good at writing, if you do it a lot, that would probably work for you.
mm. Random question. I just had this thought. You're in the Netherlands or Amsterdam, right?
Yeah.
Is English what you speak on a daily basis there?
No,
So
Dutch.
when you write YouTube scripts, are they in Dutch or English?
English, English. I
Interesting,
do
interesting.
view it as like my second language. Like I read books in English. Watch movies with English subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the creative friends and everyone is all international, so everybody speaks English. So it's like
Interesting.
50-50. Like my girlfriend and my friends over here, Dutch, but everything else English.
Cool. Well, dude, thanks for sharing that story. Is that kind of part? The next kind of question I wanted to ask is like, what's next for you? Like, you're at this point where you're a self-sustaining creator. You're doing cool, crazy stuff, like going to cabins in the woods for 3 days and starving yourself, traveling the world. What's like your vision for what's next? Because like I find that have you heard the phrase or the term hedonic adaptation, I think it's
Yeah.
called, where it's like you get into a level and then it becomes like your normal and then that's just like not exciting anymore and then there's like the next level and then you get adjusted to that too. Do you get that feeling ever with what you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, that I think it's a part of human nature to, like, no matter what you do, eventually it becomes normal and might even get boring. Um, but I think like the general thing is like creative expression, and for me now it's in visual form, in video form. That will probably be a thing for a long time for me. It might morph into storytelling in, I don't know what platforms we might have 10, 20 years from now in formats. But yeah, creative expression, storytelling will probably be a big thing for me for the rest of my life. For now, it's YouTube, and kind of the what I'm also focused on right now at the moment, which is probably been the is going to be the focus for the next 1 to 2 years, uh, is I have a paid community that I launched last month. But like I
Mhm.
did a soft launch, so I didn't go big on YouTube. I just started with a small group. Want to keep it really personal and intimate to optimize it as much as I can before I think like, okay, this is something that I can systemize and scale. And basically, long
What's it
story
called?
short,
Like we can put it on the screen. Like what's the? Do you care to
uh, the,
mention what
it's
it's called?
called Freedom Freelancing. It's basically just a community slash course teaching tech professionals how to become a freelancer. So literally, what I did, I was a data analyst, and then took the step to become a freelancer. Did that for 2 years, and that led me to do whatever I want. For me, that was YouTube, but for others, it might be completely something different. Anyways, I'm going to teach you how to become a freelancer and how to kind of like, okay, now what? How to use freelancing as a stepping stone to freedom.
Cool.
Um,
I love that.
so I'm going to focus on that a lot the coming years. That's like more on the back end behind YouTube. Yeah, it's cool to coach people. It's cool to learn, share experience and knowledge. And yeah, it's fucking awesome when you see someone become a freelancer and uh, yeah, kind of follow the same journey as you've been through.
It's the
So
best.
those two things, and like YouTube, I'm going to keep creating videos, focus on the freedom freelancing community. That's probably what I'm going to double down for the coming 2 years. After that, I have no idea. Maybe I'm going to enjoy it and keep doing it. Maybe I'll start a second channel, kind of what you did. Um, I think that's the cool thing about being a creator. There's infinite amount of things you can do. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Dude, I think that's awesome, man. And just to kind of see the like the evolution of like the phases. It went from like job, freelance, sabbatical, YouTube, YouTube now plus, community.
yeah,
And then who knows? It's just it's amazing, man. That's incredible. Um one question I had for myself, like selfishly,
yeah,
um, you do such a good job storytelling in your videos. You really the the way I look at it is there's topical YouTube videos where they talk about like a trending topic.
mm,
There's how-to type YouTube videos, and then there's YouTube videos that actually make you feel some sort of emotion and want to take action. I feel like your videos are that last type. How do
thanks,
you
man.
think of the ideas for these videos? Like, how do they come to you? Are they from life experience, or do you go based on trends? Like, how do you decide to make a topic that's going to really move people based on, something you're up to that week?
Yeah, great question. Because that was also something I've been, well, not struggling, but that was the whole challenge as a creator. Like, if some of your viewers is gonna start the journey of becoming a YouTuber, in the beginning it's all fun and oh, I'm just creating videos, but eventually you'll be confronted with the fact like, what am I actually creating? What is my topic? What kind of videos do I enjoy making? And what videos does my audience enjoy watching? And that's pretty, it's a delicate art to finding that overlap, that sweet spot. And I think to come back to your question, what I've realized the last couple of videos, let's call it like that, is um, I have a mix of types of videos. So sometimes I have a type of video where I know kind of like, hey, I've seen that there is a trend. I've seen videos from very small channels that do really well in terms of views, but the video I could do probably 10 times better. So why not try it? And then usually it turns out to perform really decent. And sometimes I have the type of videos where it's just I have a story to tell, it's something inside, and I just want to get it out there. Like this one. It doesn't, the cabin, I mean, it has nothing to do with escaping the 9 to 5. It has nothing to do with data analysis.
You just
But I
want to
just
do it.
have to, I
Yeah.
just have to put it out there. It's like that's the I think the artist or the creativeness that has to pour out of me. And yeah, I'm just going to accept the fact that my channel is a bit of a mess and chaotic and all over the place. But that this video, those types of videos, that's what the fulfillment, where the fulfillment comes from, and where the whole passion and purpose and whatever comes
Yeah.
from. So
You got to
yeah,
create videos for you too, right? Like otherwise, you know, you can't just make 1,000 tutorial videos. You're gonna go crazy. You know what I mean?
exactly. So yeah, to summarize the question, a mix of both. Sometimes just analyzing the algorithm, see what works, and sometimes just what you want to make. And the best thing is when you can do both.
Amazing, man. Dude, this has been great. I mean, I don't want to keep you too long. I usually like to end these things up if you're willing to share, just
Yeah.
for the thumbnail, to get people excited. What was your biggest earning month on YouTube?
Purely from YouTube AdSense, or like in general with all the
If you
income
want to
streams?
share both, sponsorships included.
Um, so I think including like coaching, sponsorships, everything, probably close to 20K a month. And just from YouTube, ooh, that's a good question actually. So just YouTube sense, I probably think about 7K maybe. So it's nothing too uh, extreme. It's
No, I that's why I asked. Like, I think it's I'm all about pay transparency, right? Like I don't care, and I appreciate that you shared, but I think that that's a great amount of money. 7 to 20K is fantastic. You're traveling the
yeah,
world. You're tied to no one country. Um, but I'm really happy you shared because, like we were talking about before we went on the live, I'm going to put that as the thumbnail of this video because a lot of
clickbait.
you get hooked by these clickbait topics that are setting you up for unrealistic expectations. So, Stefan, actually, I'll tell you a funny story.
Tell me.
I did a little YouTube experiment. I forget who it was, but someone posted this question on Twitter about like making like 100 grand to just sit in a black room for 3 months or something like that. So I was like, okay, would you take $5,000 to sit in a dark room, no nothing, just in a chair, blackness? It's 5K a week every week that you do it. Easy. 5K to do nothing. And I just wanted to test this idea to see how drawn people on YouTube are to these ridiculous ideas. So the video was called Make $5,000 per week to do absolutely nothing, but then in brackets, it's not what you expect. And this is the whole video, kind of talking through this scenario. Oh, you can make $5,000 a week. And then I compare it to the fact that that would be torture. You probably go crazy mentally.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to do that for 5K a week, why not put that time into something you're actually passionate about and you could actually make 5K or more per week, like what you're doing? So yeah, guys, for the thumbnail, it's going to say, you know, $7,000 or $20,000 per month. But the goal of this video was to use Stefan's story um, and show you what can be possible if you start feeding into that part of you that's itching to do something a little bit different. Because I know a lot of you are probably in a similar situation. I've been in tech sales for like 10 years. When you start, you love it. It's glamorous. Your parents are proud of you. But it gets to a point, maybe, or maybe not. Some people might love it forever, where it's just not enough for
Yeah.
this, right? And yeah, dude, I'm ranting now, but I'm
No, no.
really happy that you shared because man, like guys, if you're not following him, I'll put a picture of his channel up here and I'll link to it. Very inspiring content you make, dude. I know we didn't cover anything groundbreaking here, but I just really wanted to showcase you because I think you're a perfect example of both a creator and also a positive influence for people to actually do stuff that nourishes them and helps other people because your content definitely helped me. It was one of those things I was excited to watch when I was commuting home on the train every night after work. And you know, my partner, my fiance, girlfriend at the time, she got to know you too because you were the guy who was convincing me to start building a plan to quit my job, which I eventually did. So
That's awesome to hear.
just
That's
really, really happy.
So first of all, thanks for the kind words. I really appreciate it, Mike. And that thing at the end, especially, that's still so crazy to understand that sometimes you forget that there's actually people around the world watching your videos and take inspiration out of it. Sometimes,
Dude, yeah.
imposter syndrome. It's like, you're probably lying. Are you fucking with me? Or but
I
that's
have
awesome
no
to hear, Mike.
financial incentive to lie to you, man.
By the way,
Yeah.
before we end, I've created a couple of videos where I interview people, so not really a podcast, but more of an interview. And then I always ask them, or always at the end of the interview, I think, fuck, we haven't talked about this topic where I wanted to talk about. So basically, what I'm going to give you is there something we didn't talk about which you did want to cover?
I think it's great that you asked, but I'll be honest, I don't know. I was just hoping to chat with you and kind of pick your brain, give people an inside look into kind of how you view the stuff that you're working on. Yeah, no. Was there anything that you wanted to cover that we didn't cover?
No, nothing specifically, man.
Cool. Well, we'll wrap it up there. Stefan, thank you so much for joining. Guys, I'm going to chop this up too in a bunch of shorts, and I'll be hammering you guys with content from this video for the next couple of weeks. But dude, thank you so much for joining. This has been really great. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on, Mike. It was awesome chatting to you.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.